Welcome to another episode of Conversations, our relationship advice podcast. We cover a wide range of topics, concentrating on one specific issue each episode. For more information, check out eroticus.org.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on something I think we all have some experience with. Breakups. It's one of those things that pretty much everyone goes through at some point, and it's never fun.
Oh, it's definitely not fun. It can be rough, but it's also kind of fascinating how such a personal experience can actually follow a pretty predictable pattern. Like there's this secret formula for heartbreak.
Right. It's like we're all reading from the same breakup script, even though it feels so unique when you're going through it.
Exactly.
So let's break down this script then, shall we? Starting with that initial blow. That feeling of shock when you realize it's really over. It's kind of like, when you leave your phone at home
Oh, yeah.
and like you're completely lost without it, your whole world feels off.
I think it's even more intense than that sometimes because you're losing that constant connection you had with a person. It's like your brain can't even process it at first, so it goes into this kind of defense mode.
Yeah, it's almost like your mind is trying to protect you from the full impact of the loss.
Exactly.
Which probably explains why so many of us get stuck in that denial phase.
Oh, the denial phase.
Telling ourselves it's not really over, they're going to come back, it's just a misunderstanding. I mean, I've definitely spent way too much time, analyzing an ex's social media activity, like desperately searching for clues.
I think we've all been there. It's totally normal. Your mind is clinging to any little shred of hope it can find, even if it means distorting reality a little bit.
Well, until reality smacks you in the face, and then bam, the anger comes in hot.
Oh, the anger.
Ready to burn everything that reminds you of your ex. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I don't condone any actual burning of belongings.
No arson, please. But the anger actually serves a purpose. It's that energy that helps you process the hurt and the feeling of being wronged.
Like your inner warrior coming out to fight for you.
Yeah, exactly. Even if that warrior's a little out of control sometimes.
Right. So maybe channel that anger into something a little more constructive, like a killer workout playlist, or a really strongly worded letter you never actually send.
Right. Anything that lets you release that pent-up energy without causing any real damage.
Because at the end of the day, hurting yourself or someone else isn't going to fix anything.
Nope.
And then just when you think you're starting to get a grip on things, you enter the bargaining stage.
Aha, the bargaining.
Making deals with the universe, promising to be a better person if only they come back.
Oh, yeah. That desperate attempt to regain some control over the situation, to rewrite the story.
It's that, if only I had done this differently. Tape playing on a loop in your head.
Totally. But even the best bargainers eventually have to face the music.
Yeah, and that's when the sadness really sets in.
Yeah. This is where it hits you full force. The true weight of the loss. You might want to just withdraw from the world, hide under the covers with a giant tub of ice cream. And honestly, sometimes that's okay. You need to let yourself grieve.
Yeah, you have to give yourself permission to feel it all. But sometimes it goes beyond just feeling sad. Our source calls it the psychological hangover. And I think that's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah, it's not just the emotional stuff. There's this whole mental component, too.
Right. Like your self-esteem takes a major hit.
Oh, absolutely. You start questioning everything about yourself. What's wrong with me? Why wasn't I good enough? It can be really tough.
That inner critic can be brutal. And then there are the intrusive thoughts.
Oh, those are the worst.
Memories. What-ifs. Replaying conversations in your head, wishing you could change what you said. It's like your mind is stuck on repeat, playing the same sad song over and over again.
And you can't seem to hit the stop button. It's exhausting. And it can make it feel impossible to move on.
Right. You're trying to get over it, but your brain is like, nope, not happening. And then on top of all the emotional and mental chaos, you start experiencing physical symptoms too.
It's crazy how our emotional distress can manifest physically.
It really is. It's like your body saying, hey, pay attention to this emotional stuff. It's serious.
And the way it shows up can be so different for everyone.
Right. From insomnia to changes in appetite to feeling like you have the flu. Our source calls it the breakup buffet of fun, which I find kind of darkly humorous.
Yeah, it's definitely not fun, but it's important to remember that these physical symptoms are just part of a stress response. It's a reminder that what you're going through is real and it's having a real impact on you.
So if you're listening to this and you're experiencing any of these things, just take a deep breath. You're not alone and you're not going crazy. This is your body's way of processing a major life event. And that's why self-care is so important during this time.
Yes, absolutely. It's essential to prioritize your well-being, nourishing food, restful sleep, gentle exercise, anything that helps you feel grounded and cared for.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out to your support system too. Friends, family, a therapist, anyone who can offer a listening ear and a non-judgmental space to process your emotions.
Talking it out can be so helpful.
Yeah, sometimes just saying it out loud can make it feel a little less overwhelming.
Absolutely. And if those feelings become too intense or you're just struggling to cope, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A therapist can give you tools and strategies to navigate the more challenging aspects of a breakup.
Right. Okay, so we've covered the shock, the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the sadness, and even the psychological and physical fallout. It's been a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've definitely covered some heavy stuff. But here's the thing. Even the most intense storms eventually pass.
And that's what we're going to dive into next, the silver lining, the path toward healing and ultimately growth.
So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back, everyone. So we just spent some time exploring well, the not so fun parts of a breakup, all those emotional ups and downs, the way it can mess with your head and even your body. But like we promised, we're going to shift gears now and talk about the silver lining, that path toward healing and, ultimately growth.
People always compare breakups to roller coasters, but I kind of think it's more like climbing a mountain.
Oh, I like that.
It's tough. It's a real challenge. You've got those steep climbs and unexpected obstacles, but with every step, you're getting stronger, you're gaining perspective, and eventually you get that incredible view from the top.
That's a great analogy. So what are like the first steps we can take on this climb toward healing? Our source doesn't get into specifics, but I know we both believe in the power of self-care.
Oh, absolutely. Self-care is like non-negotiable, especially after a breakup. It's about replenishing your energy emotionally, mentally, physically, like you're tending to your own garden, nurturing yourself back to life.
So we're talking bubble baths, face masks, all the comfort food. But seriously, are there any self-care traps we should watch out for? Like, what about that urge to just completely check out and wallow?
Yeah, that's a good point. Self-care should be restorative, not an escape. So yeah, indulge a little, but also do things that nourish your mind and spirit. Maybe try a new hobby, get out in nature, pick up a project you've been putting off.
So it's about finding that balance between being kind to yourself and actively working toward healing. And speaking of being proactive, I know a lot of people find comfort in their support system during tough times. Friends, family, maybe a furry friend to cuddle with.
Connection is so important. Talking it out can be incredibly therapeutic, whether it's venting to a friend, reminiscing with family, or just having someone listen without judgment. Just knowing you're not alone in this can make a huge difference.
For sure. But what about those times when, friendly advice just doesn't cut it? When that mountain feels too steep to climb on your own?
That's when professional support can be so valuable. Therapy gives you that safe space to process your feelings, challenge negative thoughts, and learn healthy coping skills.
I think there's still a stigma around therapy, but honestly, it's a sign of strength. It's like having an experienced guide to help you through the toughest parts of the climb.
Exactly. They can help you navigate those emotional crevasses and give you the tools you need to get to the top.
Right. And while you're working through all this, it's so important to be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. You're going to have good days and bad days. It's not always a straight line.
Yeah, you might feel like you're making progress one day and then wake up the next day feeling like you're back at square one.
It's like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back sometimes. You might even feel lost and confused. But even on those tough days, remember that every little step, every act of courage, every tear you shed, it's all part of the process.
And as you keep going, you might be surprised by where you find strength and comfort, a song that hits you just right, a random act of kindness with a stranger, a beautiful sunset that reminds you there's still beauty in the world.
It's about noticing those little glimmers of hope in the darkness, those reminders that even in heartbreak, there's still so much to appreciate. I know for me, nature has always been my go-to during tough times. Just being outside, surrounded by trees and birdsong, it's like a reset button for my soul.
It's like nature has this wisdom to share this gentle reminder that even after the coldest winter, spring always comes.
And speaking of spring, I think that's a perfect transition to talk about growth. Because breakups, as much as they hurt, can be incredible opportunities for personal growth. They push you to really look at yourself, your needs, your values, what you truly want in a partner.
It's like you're forced to take this detour and you end up discovering these amazing hidden paths you never knew existed.
Yeah, you're forced to reevaluate everything, your priorities, your boundaries, your sense of self. And you might even surprise yourself with how strong and resilient you actually are.
It's like the whole experience illuminates your inner landscape, showing you where you're strong and where you need to nurture yourself a little more.
And once you've done that work, cleared out the emotional debris and started rebuilding, you're in a much better place to create a future that truly aligns with what you want.
And that, I think, is the most beautiful part of healing. You come out of it not broken, but stronger.
So we talked about the emotional roller coaster, the psychological and physical stuff, the climb toward healing and growth. But there's one more important piece we need to talk about. I'll let you introduce it.
Yes, forgiveness.
Forgiving your ex, and maybe even harder, forgiving yourself.
It's not about saying what happened was okay or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about letting go of the bitterness and resentment that keeps you stuck in the past.
It's like finally putting down that heavy baggage you've been carrying around. And sometimes that baggage is full of self-blame and regret. All those if-onlys and what-ifs.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of beating yourself up. But forgiveness, both for ourselves and others, is an act of self-compassion. It's recognizing that we all make mistakes, we're all learning, and holding on to anger only hurts us in the end.
It's like choosing to set yourself free from the past.
And that freedom is what allows you to move forward.
I love that. So listener, as you continue on this journey, remember to be kind to yourself. Let yourself feel all the feelings. Lean on your support system and trust that forgiveness, even if it takes time, will eventually lead you to a brighter, more fulfilling future. But before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. Okay, so we talked about all the messy stuff, the emotional whirlwind, the mental games, our bodies playing tricks on us, and that climb back to feeling whole again. But you know when you finally reach the top of a mountain,
Oh, yeah.
you get this amazing view. You can see the whole path you took, all the ups and downs, the twists and turns. And from up there, you might even get a clearer sense of where you want to go next.
You get this new perspective on everything.
Right. And that's what I love about breakups. As tough as they are, they can really push you to grow, to rethink your priorities, your values, what you really want in a partner. So, listener, given everything we've talked about today about the emotional roller coaster, the mental shifts, the moments of growth, what insights have you gained about what you truly want in a future partner? What lessons has this experience taught you?
It's not about jumping into a new relationship right away. It's about taking this time to really get to know yourself. What are your core values? What are your needs in a relationship? What are the red flags you're never going to ignore again?
It's like looking back at your past relationship and asking yourself, okay, what worked? What absolutely didn't work? And what are my non-negotiables moving forward?
Exactly. It's not about blaming anyone. It's about understanding yourself better, taking charge of your own happiness.
And sometimes that means being really honest with yourself. Maybe you realize you were settling for less than you deserve, or that you were putting your partner's needs before your own.
Or maybe you discover that some things you thought were deal breakers are actually not that important, while other things you didn't even think about before are actually crucial for you.
All about self-discovery, isn't it? Learning to listen to that inner voice that knows what you need to truly thrive. And sometimes a breakup, as painful as it is the wake-up call we need to start paying attention.
It's like this whole experience resets your compass, guiding you toward a path that's more authentic and more fulfilling.
So listening, as you move forward, remember to be kind to yourself. Let yourself feel all the feels. Lean on your people and trust that brighter days are coming.
And remember, the end of one relationship isn't the end of love. It just makes space for a new beginning, one that's more in line with who you really are.
We're rooting for you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.